Do you believe in true love? Then you certainly belong to the subset of romantically inclined people. But even if this question is too corny for you, and you are ambivalent about love, you should definitely watch the following video. Today, we present you 10 signs that indicate that a person is incapable of love. If you like our videos, feel free to support us with a thumbs up, subscribe to Psychology and Mind, activate the little bell, and get excited about the videos we upload for you every day. Number 1, it's always someone else's fault. We all know such people. They don't even try to look for their own faults and weaknesses in themselves because, as we know, they can find it faster in others. People who are incapable of love often have no awareness of their faults. Their lack of empathy and insight plays a supporting role here, because the ability to reflect on oneself is a basic prerequisite for insight and reason. If a person lacks this important social quality, then he or she cannot intuit his or her own failing in the area of feelings, and must therefore place all the blame on fellow human beings, because someone must be responsible after all. The projection of guilt onto innocent people relieves their own inner emptiness for a moment. Number 2, lack of responsibility and unreliability. In the process of growing up, all people go through phases in which they have to face up to their responsibilities. The best example of this is a responsible attitude towards family, friends, and children. A person incapable of love cannot help but withdraw from responsibility over and over again. Love is more than a mere concept. It is about values and norms. The incapacity of those affected is shown in their ignorance of their own and others' feelings. An unreliable partner cannot and will not love. Number 3, apologies as an evasion. An apology at the right time shows strength of character, but it is different with people who are incapable of love. They use excuses for selfish purposes because they want to get out of the affair as easily and smoothly as possible. Most of the time, however, their self-serving ploy comes to light, and they are exposed as masters of prevarication. Their hypocritical admission of guilt serves only manipulative purposes. Apologies should never mutate into mere lip service, but should always come from the heart. Evasions and ultimately excuses are nothing more than an attempt to flee from one's own unpleasant feelings. Over time, it becomes clear that such people lose credibility because the other person sees through their motives faster than they would like. Number 4, giving up instead of fighting. A person who cannot love is unsurprisingly incapable of fighting for a love and will walk away at the first opportunity. They have no ability to deal with problems constructively and in an interpersonally delicate manner. Instead, they sulk like a small offended child and leave the situation that is unpleasant for them. As far as they are concerned, the problem is over. They are simply indifferent to the fact that such irresponsible and selfish behavior offends their fellow human beings. Number 5, lack of interest. Love, friendship, and even sympathy are all based on a mutual interest. People who present themselves as incapable of love can feign an honest interest in other people exceedingly well. However, the facade falls relatively quickly, since hypocrisy only works with the fewest people who don't have good people knowledge. Love is always associated with a personal and deep inner attraction. In the long run, this can hardly be staged. Interest is thus also an expression of a longing, as well as a fundamental willingness to engage with others without reservation. As soon as a person reacts with indifference to other people, his or her fundamental interest is extinguished. Number 6, lack of poor communication. Communication is the be-all and end-all of any relationship, and without it, a smooth interpersonal relationship is impossible. Those who evade all communication prove to be, at the very least, incapable of relationships, and at worst, incapable of love. problems rarely solve themselves. Consequently, anyone who wants to work constructively on a solution cannot avoid a conversation. People who react to problems with silence or feigned ignorance, on the other hand, are simply incapable of respecting the other person. Communication basically means nothing other than social interaction. Without this, no message can be conveyed, and misunderstandings or disputes are the result. Number 7, emotional withdrawal. Everyone has the odd bad day when he or she feels like withdrawing. The situation becomes more complicated when exceptions seem to become the rule and the person concerned makes no effort to get closer to his or her partner. The inability to consciously turn toward the other person can mean the end of any relationship, and emotional withdrawal affects all levels of living together. Sometimes it is clear, sometimes it happens as if out of nowhere. One thing is certain, however, it is contrary to love in every respect and is incompatible with it. Number 8, dissatisfaction. To be at peace with oneself and one's fellow men is not a matter of course. It takes real effort. Those who skip this work are dissatisfied with themselves and can rarely develop true devotion for others either. What follows is a spiral of pessimism and resentment. The gnawing feeling of personal unhappiness prevents any mutual appreciation and love. As long as those affected struggle with strong self-doubt, the very thought of love will cause them mental pain, even if they inwardly crave it so much. A relationship thrives on shared happiness. This, therefore, presupposes the ability to grant others their happiness and, at best, to accept oneself as one is, with all one's weaknesses and strengths. Number 9, bias. Falling in love can be a wonderful experience. Most of the time, at the beginning of a relationship, couples fully commit to each other, forgiving each other for any flaws, and thanks to their carefree enthusiasm, they only see what they want to see in the other person. As soon as this form of tolerance and acceptance turns into bias, or this type of prejudice becomes predominant, the problems begin. On the one hand, a partner who sees only dangers and risks cannot lead a joyous life, and consequently can hardly reciprocate genuine love. On the other hand, these people lack a certain convivial quality. A character who is too self-centered and pursues only his interests cannot be a true partner. Number 10, narrow-mindedness. Being surprised by life and optimistic about things in life can easily be mistaken for naivete, but a certain zest for life is essential for healthy love. Those who walk through life narrow-mindedly also run the risk of closing themselves off to the beautiful things within a relationship and not expanding their personal horizons. A fundamental closed-mindedness can also shape this approach to a partnership and ultimately lead to inhibitions and mutual mistrust. Deep-seated fears play a role here, which restrict those affected to such an extent that genuine feelings of love are either ruled out or repressed to such an extent that they are hardly perceived. Today's conclusion: the inability to love is directly linked to childhood experiences and personal identity structure, which suggests that affected individuals will have a lifetime of difficulty perceiving love as such, accepting it, and passing it on to their fellow human beings. This phenomenon is a weakness that can destroy any joy in life. This is an extremely regrettable and painful experience for those affected. That's it for today.
Thanks for watching. Did you find this information helpful? Do you have experience with it? We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. For more resources about mental health, self-improvement, and psychology, visit our website. You'll find the link in the video description where you can also connect with us on social media and sign up for our email list. Take care of yourself and have a beautiful day.